Hello, everyone. Before we start this is going to be a bit of a serious topic that I'm talking about. I just decided to talk about it because I feel like this is a good message to be let out there. And I feel like this needs to be heard. And I don't know if my video will get the notice it does or the reach it does, but if it does, hopefully it can fix some problems that we have in the world right now. And not only it can do something for us, but it can do something for the children of this generation, or hopefully it can make somewhat of a difference. And I like to say it now, I am a Christian. I absolutely am a Christian. I believe in God, most definitely. And I grew up around a lot of Christians. However, what I'm about to talk about in this video, these people, they were Christians for all the wrong reasons. Now, it might sound a bit cruel what I just said, but once you watch the video, you will get it. I promise. It's not going to be one of those type of videos that, conspiracy theorists. I promise. I just want you all to listen out for this video, and hopefully this video can make somewhat of a difference in our community. So, let's get started. Hello, everybody. So, today I wanted to talk about something very serious that has been bothering me lately, and hopefully you guys will understand. So if you guys don't know, in my previous live stream I did about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I had explained about some crime stories I had heard over the past few weeks, and there's two that's really been on my mind lately, really been on my mind. And it's not in the reason because a child was literally taken out from this world and they were so young. Well, actually, one of them, in a moment, didn't actually get to experience that much of life at all, because, well, you'll see. But I just wanted to talk about how people in these two situations use God for all the wrong reasons. So, here's the thing. When people say that, when they have babies, God, of course, God will make sure the baby's taken care of. Of course, God, you can trust God in any situation whatsoever, and I bet you through strength in Christ, He will be there for you. But in these type of situations, people depended mostly on God, which is, I'm not saying it's just something that which is something you can absolutely do. You can absolutely depend on God. It's just that in these situations, it's like they gave the baby in God's hands and they didn't believe that parenting existed. So the first thing I want to mention story is about Mary Ann Welch. And I don't know if you know about this story, but I'll fill you in. I'm not going to say the whole story, but I'm just going to say it in a nutshell. Basically, there was this mother and father who had a few other children, and they had this younger, beautiful baby named Mary Ann Welch. She was just a beautiful baby, and sadly, she did not get the treatment that she deserved. And in fact, her father was the main ringleader around it, because he had actually, he was a very religious person. And I mean religious in all the wrong ways. He didn't believe in doctors. He didn't believe in injections. He didn't believe in anything, any legal medical care for his child, which is a theme here. Most of these religious things right here, people who mainly think about God in these type of situations, they think that God can fix everything, which I'm not saying is not true. It is true. But in these type of situations, yes, God can fix anything. But it's up to you. It's your child. That child is nobody else's but your and you and your wife's child, just like your other children. Mind you, what's really frustrating is that his other children were already well fed and stuff, and already like well fed, and nothing was wrong with them. Now I don't have any I try to look it up if they went to a doctor as well, but I couldn't get anything on that. I don't know. I want to guess maybe, but as for Mary Ann, she didn't get none of that. She didn't get anything. She didn't. And I'm like, are you serious? And I hate it, because that right there to me is a real sign right there of favoritism. That's just the proof is in the pudding right there for favoritism. And he would do like these like videos and stuff like that of the Bible, which is something, listen, I'm all for a good Bible reading. I'm all for that. Sometimes I like to go into my grandfather's Bible collection and read some verses to my cousins. That's something I'm all for. But the fact that he can just do that, and he has a baby in there freaking being malnourished, it hurts in my head. It hurts me so bad. And here's the thing right here. Here's the thing. When he had a dispatch call with 911 complaining about his baby being well, she was not moving, she was sick. Tell me why this absolute fool says that. Now, I'm gonna tell you here, this is a big time skip right here, that the last time he checked on his baby was yesterday, was at the time at 3, okay, at 3 p.m., okay, that yesterday, and then the next morning at 10 a.m. And I'm like, what? That is a huge time skip. So basically, he's flat out saying that he is. So basically, he may not know this, but you're basically admitting child neglect, because checking on your child that long period of time, that is so cruel. No, there's not even a big enough word to describe child neglect. It's not. And what's even worse, what's the most sickening, is that apparently when she died, she was a 10-month-old. But apparently the people who were on the scene said, and I quote, they couldn't tell if they were dealing with a 10-day-old or a 10-month-old. That's how malnourished she was, because she was so small. And the mother said, oh yeah, of course she is small, but I didn't know she was that small. Of course you did. And mind you, the mother in this was just as much as horrible as he was, because she claimed, oh, I never noticed how much smaller she got. You sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure, because you're the one who gave birth to her. You was the one who didn't feed her. You was the one that changed her. And you was the one who agreed with your husband of not taking her to the hospital when she needed the help the most. So of course, after all that, they did get sentenced to life in prison. And their reaction online is, if the situation was as sickening as it is, I would say it's pretty funny. But, I mean, they're just gobsmacked. But, no, they deserve every ounce of pain that Mary Ann Welch got. And here's where I come to the religious part in the story. Sure, they believed in God, which is something I love somebody who believes in God. If you guys don't know, my bestie is a Christian. She is. But the fact that somebody would go this far in believing somebody who, yes, sacrificed his life for all of us, but just goes on and making that person who is the purest person in our world up above make him feel like a criminal, because you would, if you was him, and if you was him, you would think, my daughter died. Obviously, God didn't do his job of taking care of her. And I'm like, if that was the case, if that was he was thinking, I'll be like, dude, that is your child. She's your responsibility. Just like your other children. But the fact you would go and just ignore her like she was a scum of the earth is just sickening. And I hope he rots in jail. I hope she also rots in jail. I hope so. I hope so. And my thing is, my main problem in this type of thing is, like, they did all of that and just, like, absolutely ignored their baby. And they thought God was going to get them out of this. Well, I'll tell you what, baby. I'll tell you what. God does not, and I mean does not, reward nor help, not even give them an ounce of respect for sinners who think they could just throw away their kids, ignore them, just pretend that they don't exist, and play favoritism. That's something that God won't do. And I believe, and I'll tell you one thing, I am one person who I will, every single time I look at these cases, I put down my phone. I just sit in silence. I put my hands together. I close my eyes. I put my head down. And I say, God, please make sure you're looking after such and such. Please make sure you're looking after that baby. Please make sure whatever that baby is going through, you take good care of them up there. They didn't have a good life down here. But I know up there, there's somewhere where there's nice, calm, beautiful waters. No trouble at all. I ask him that every time I see these type of cases. And I also tell God, when it's their parents' time to go, who did that awful, awful, malevolent stuff to them, do not invite them within those white pearly gates. Send them to the bottom of the barrel where people like them belong. God should be used as a sign of hope. Not a sign of hope thinking that you can get away with stuff from him. He doesn't reward people like that. And I am one person who would absolutely be gobsmacked if that was the case. But luckily, no, it is not the case. Because God, to me, He can give hope. He can. But in situations like this, He cannot. He's not going to give hope to anybody who's responsible of a child's death. The only thing He can do is invite that poor, innocent, defenseless child within His pearly gates, with open arms, and send their parents, their awful, awful, demented parents who think it's okay to just neglect children, down to the gulag. That's where they belong. That's where they belong. Now onto this next story I heard about. It's about an 8-year-old girl named Elizabeth Strews, who was an 8-year-old girl who had lived in Australia. And sadly, this is where the cult part comes in. If you're not a fan of cults, just click off now. But I promise I won't get too in depth in the cult aspect. I'll do my best, but please be warned, okay? Proceed with caution, as they say. But sadly, her parents had gotten into a religious group, and apparently, in these type of groups, if they would have children, if people who had children in these type of groups, they were they were they were granted to do some pretty messed up things, like hurt their children, and just like from Mary Ann's story, not provide any medical help for their children. And that's what poor Elizabeth went through. And the number of people that was in this cult is crazy. 14 people was in this cult, which just blows my mind. How could that many people listen, not that it would make it any better, me saying this, I would get if it was like 5 people, or maybe even like 6, but 14? Well, long story short, she was the ringleader in all of this. She was the ringleader of the torture. And when she was starting to get worse, day by day, she was starting to get sick. And her parents and the members of the cult said that, and I quote, God will heal her. Now, here's the thing. If she was sick on her own, and they would have said that, and this whole cult thing would have happened, that would be a whole different story, and I would accept that. But the fact that they were the ones involved in this whole thing, this whole evil cult, religious cult, and then they don't even think twice about blaming themselves on the abuse that poor girl went through. They don't even want to think twice about what they did. So they're just thinking twice, thinking, oh, we didn't do anything wrong, which you did. You did. You caused this all. You caused that all on that poor girl. And then you got the nerve to say God will heal her when you're the ones that caused this? I swear right now, I'm a pacifist, and I promise you I would be punching a wall if they would have said that in my face. But really, I am not a violent person. I'm not. So then they got the nerve to wait. I don't know how many days, I forgot. To wait days and days out until that poor girl took her last freaking breath. And then they decided to call the police and blame herself being, mind you, they left her in her bed. Nobody to help her. Nobody. And before her parents got into this cult, they were already treating her nice. They were already treating her with respect. It's these cults that turn good people into monsters. That's what I'm saying. People are taking advantage of Jesus to just do this type of things in front of children like they don't matter. That's what really gets me upset. Whenever I hear these type of cases, I just want to flip a table. And the good side about this is not just her parents that got arrested, because obviously, they have medical experts, but along with them, the whole cult got arrested. Everybody. Some of them avoided arrest for a couple of weeks, but luckily they were all able to get them in that cell. And thank God they did. Thank you. I don't know how far in the case they are, really, but I'm not going to do any updates, but what I wanted to do basically today, I didn't want to do, the reason why I didn't want to do any reviews today is just that I've been looking up on these for a while, and it hurts me that people are using God against the most vulnerable, like it's okay, which is not. God is supposed to be a savior. Somebody, the most purest person on earth, the most purest, happiest, safest person. God is somebody, if we were coming from a bad background, we can talk to. We can reveal our thoughts to him. We can talk to him. And I know deep down he can make those things come true. He's like to me, when I was younger, I called him the original wishing star. Because in my book, God came first before the wishing star happened. You know, he's the original wishing star to me. That's who he is to me. I still believe in the wishing star. But if anything, I feel like God was the blueprint wishing star, in my opinion. Because I feel like he can make wishes come true. He can make good things happen. He can. And the fact that people like this in these horrible, horrible religious cults use somebody who we're supposed to trust, turn them against the most vulnerable. It hurts my heart. It really hurts because children are supposed to come from a good background. I, for one, did. And I was around the right type of people who believed in God. We didn't do no cults. We didn't do none of that. The main things us Christians need is one, hope, a Bible, prayer, and a bonus, family. Family. And family was right in front of these people I just mentioned all along. And they just ignored it. They ignored it. They ignored it. They took God advantage like he was their babysitter. Like, they made God look like he was some irresponsible babysitter, and that's not what he is. That is not what he is. He's not. God is supposed to be someone you can trust, not to hurt our children. And I will admit it now. I do want a child. I do when I get older. But I want to focus on the things I want to focus on now. But the more and more I hear about these type of cases, not saying I don't want to have my wishes. I do. But it's just makes me much more strict of how I want to raise my future child. I want to raise them as a Christian, and I also want them to grow up as somebody that makes them happy. Not somebody who's going to turn into somebody bad, or just somebody who's going to turn into something that can hurt people. I don't want that. But aside from that, I thought I'd talk about this because it's been on my mind for a while, and hopefully this video gets out somewhere. Hopefully. And I know you guys are waiting on my Robin Hood the Clean episode review. I know that. It's getting close to the end of school, and I just want to focus on that for the while, so just thought I'd mention that. But before I leave, let me just mention this one more thing. And please, take this to heart, what I'm about to say. Okay? For all of you, young, old, queer, straight, anybody who believes in Jesus and who has kids, please remember this. Please. God is supposed to be used for hope, not for granted, and not for advantage. That is all. Have a good day. And God bless you all.